good, y'all? Welcome to my review for this week's episode of My Hero Academia Final Season. What an episode, man. Horikoshi clearly taking massive inspiration from Avengers Endgame with this episode, man. Like, there's no way he wasn't. We all know he's a massive Marvel fan. All they were missing his eyes are someone saying, on your left. I don't know why there wasn't a character that said, on your left. So, that would have been cool. That would have made it perfectly, maybe in the dub. Hey, Jeremy, he'll do us a solid and have eyes out and say on your left, or something like that, man. I do not know, ladies and gentlemen. But, regardless of such, this was an incredible episode. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, given what I said in my review for the previous episode, that I think that this might be the episode that'll finally topple episode 17 or whatever it was of Hero Waka Season 7 as my all-time favorite episode. Well, did it do that, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sure you're asking. And the answer is, I think it might have. I think it just might have done that, man. This episode was truly sensational, man. A truly incredible episode, man. And yeah, like this, I think it did. I think it did just that, ladies and gentlemen, where it did, in fact, topple that episode as my favorite, which doesn't seem like I'll keep that title for long, considering next week, man, and oh my god, bro, the next episode preview for that episode, man, Jesus H. Christ. From now, we don't know nothing about the staff list and nothing that leads to this current month for this episode. But judging from the next episode preview, one, there is something inside of me telling me that Haruka Iida is directing the next episode. And you guys know that I have said in the past, once it was revealed that, she wasn't directing the OP, she wasn't directing the ED, and all so far she's done is storyboards for one episode, that I thought, and like someone else as well mentioned that she might direct that she's probably going to direct a full episode. That she's been promoted from ED and OP director to just, a straight up episode director. Now, obviously, nothing in there. We have nothing to confirm these claims. This is pure speculation. And I, for one, have agreed to that sentiment because I'm like, surely this woman did not drop the two of the best EDs of the entire series and the best OP of the series just to be relegated to just doing storyboards for one episode. Like, she still hasn't done any key animation of the season as well, which is pretty insane. She hasn't done any key animation, and I think that is a bit suspicious because, if you guys know, even when she was directing the EDs and the OPs for Season 7, she still popped up a couple times and did some key animation here and there for a couple episodes. Here, it's been radio silent. So I'm hoping that surely that means that this woman is actually directing an episode. Like I said, I wanted to be either the clipped episode or the final episode where 431 is getting adapted for obvious reasons. And maybe she's directing multiple episodes. Like I said, she hasn't done any key animation this season, and this is a shorter season too, which I think makes it a little bit more suspect that she hasn't made any appearance outside storyboards for one episode. But anyway, so who knows? Maybe she's directing those episodes as well. And then there's the key visual that just dropped. That, I don't know, man. In my heart, that looks like it's drawn by Haruka herself as well. I saw some people suspect that it might be Yutapon, which, at first I was like, this doesn't look anything like this doesn't look anything like Nakamura, how he draws. But now looking at it more closely, man, and really looking at it, I can definitely see some people seeing why they might think it's Nakamura from really just the really sharp drawings, the shyness. Nakamura, I've noticed with whenever he does single drawing for Mag Zero, they tend to always be a tad shiny. At least when he draws Izuku, because he's using one for all. And this definitely looks like that. So it could be Yutapon and just the thicker outlines and the thicker line work, man. It definitely makes... I could see why some people might be suspect that it is Yutapon. But I don't know, man. Me personally, I'm thinking it's Haruka Iida just from the look of it, man. It kind of looks like her style. Now, could this mean we got Haruka Iida directing the episode next week, and then we got Nakamura on key animation, man? Because that's where you guys know that's where I predicted that where Nakamura showed up, and apparently just some tweets that apparently Iida also gets a moment there, so that's probably where Nakamura's cut will be. And if that's the case, man, if we actually got Nakamura directing the episode, and then we got Yutapon on key animation, bruh, that'll be something, man. That'll be something. We'll have to wait and see on that, ladies and gentlemen. I think I might mention earlier, but like, I don't want to get my hopes up, but in my heart of hearts, it's telling me that Haruka Ida is directing the next episode, man. Which, if that's the case, man, hell fucking yes. Like I said, I still would like her to work on the Clipped episode, as well as, you know, the final episode, for my own personal reasons, because I love her style, man. Will that be the case? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that, ladies and gentlemen. But like, at the very least, I hope she can maybe like storyboard, do some key animation for those 2 episodes, man, because you guys know how much I love her work. So we'll have to wait and see on that, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that indeed Haruka is. I think we got Haruka in the next episode, man. And possibly Nakamura on key animation as well, which you guys know, like I said earlier, that's my prediction where I think he is placed in this season, man. So we'll have to wait and see on that, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, but yeah, man. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. That's my prediction. Those are my theories. Those are my speculations about the next episode, man. Like I said, if we actually do get Haruka Ida and Nakamura on key animation, then yeah, that will easily become my new favorite episode, and might stay that way. But like I said, I have a feeling the Clipped and you know, the 431 episode probably will top it anyway for my own personal biases. But we'll have to wait to see on that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, guys, let's just jump right into the actual episode. So we start the episode off right where we left off last week with Shigaraki's dad slapping Tenko, which actually, and he like raises his hand up for a second slap, which actually you guys did not know. This is something I think that I didn't know was cut from the anime. Was it actually in the manga? Tenko gets slapped twice. It wasn't just the one slap we saw in the anime. He was slapped the second time, which I think might have either been this slap or the second slap that he was gearing up to give him. Either way, so yeah, we got to see a bit of cut content from the manga get re-added into the anime. Though I am kind of curious, because you guys know we're doing the rereads on Twitter with some of my friends, that actually Mr. Compress actually randomly got some extra screen time in season 7 that just was cut, and so far still has not been put back in. I wonder if they're gonna put that in, or they're just gonna forever be like, nah, Mr. Compress, fuck you. You get no screen time this season. It is kind of weird they cut that. I wonder why. But anyway, guys, so yeah, Izuku comes in there, man. He's stopped by the barrier, which I love the colors on this, by the way. The purple and the red looks fantastic. So he tries to push in there, man, and then we, of course, get the scenes that he tells them we saw in season 5. That's not your grandmother. That is a brute. It was a brute who abandoned their child. Of course, Nana is there, so she is hearing all of this and realizing that leaving her son was a mistake, which I think we can agree, but can we really blame her? I think she made the wrong choice at the right time. I don't know if I'm saying the same right, but I feel that's something she had to do just to protect him from All For One, which clearly it didn't work because All For One still found him anyway. So he kind of goes on about if that hero is someone who hurts their own family so they can save strangers, etc., etc., etc. We all know from season 5, but of course Nana is absolutely mortified. She's crying, hearing all this from her son, and she realized they didn't keep the phone because he wanted to. It's because he just couldn't bring himself to throw it out. So yeah, poor Nana, she's going through it. She realizes all the hurt that she's done, and you know, just the domino effect that has caused her abandoning her son to try and kill All For One. So then he finally gears up for the second slap. This is when Izuku finally is able to break through the barrier along with Nana. Nana grabs him and stops the slap. She apologizes to what was his name? Kotaro? Yeah, Kotaro. And, you know, and then apologize to Tenko, which now seeing them back to back, you can really see the resemblance between Tenko and Nana when they're like right in front of each other. So she fades away as she finally broke through to Shigaraki, and then Izuku goes back at the front, and now Izuku goes back at this is still the back of the house, but now it's nighttime. Now he's in his middle school attire. For some reason, I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess it's just to show he's getting younger, which we saw later. And then this is when he sees what happened with Mon, him dying, his snake of a sister coming in there to apologize, and then, you know, everything that we saw as well from season 5. He starts to sense that same disturbance in the force that he's felt back in season 6 in Jakku. The same thing happens, and it looks like there's a mixture. It looks like with the single there was a mixture of reusing animation from season 5, but also some new animation, because there were some other parts that were boarded a bit different differently than what we saw in season 5. So it seems like there was like mixing and matching, adding some new animation along with the animation, the old animation from season 5. Looks like they were like kind of going back and forth because there was definitely some parts of that were definitely storyboarded, like with when his sister finds Mon's bloody remains, how she screamed, the perspective is a bit different. There's also a couple other differences as well, so there's like some slight differences. But anyway, he rushes towards her. This is when Kid Izuku comes in there, man. They lock hands together, basically doing a test of strength in wrestling terminology. This is where we settle things, and from here, I know, like, it was kind of hard for me to distinguish when Denki was talking versus his child, because like there were parts where like they were like mixed together where I'm like I couldn't tell if Denki was still when Denki was still calling was Izuku versus Kid Seiyu. If I remember correctly, his Kid Seiyu also voices Midnight, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, correct me in the comments, but yeah, it was kind of like so around here it was kind of difficult. Like, wait, is that Denki still talking, or is that the Kid Seiyu talking? It was kind of hard because you got him doing narration, and him obviously trying to fight off Shigaraki. So it's kind of hard to hear when the later in the episode comes a bit more of that's his kid version, but like around here it was kind of hard. Is that Denki? Is that his Kid Seiyu? Who's talking here exactly? But anyway, Izuku. But anyway, like you can start to see the decay start to affect Izuku's hands, starts cracking up his hands. He says. As he refuses to let go, saying keep him back to his hands. I smashed all of One for All into him, now I have to hit him with myself. Tenko says why. Izuku says because you're crying. Tenko says he's not. Izuku realizes as Tenko's emotions are starting to surge into him, and he said he chose this. He destroyed this house on purpose. Otherwise, are these hands of mine full? Who can validate my being born this way? And this is when Izuku starts getting repelled, but he's like, don't let go of him. Drawings here, by the way, are phenomenal, by the way, I have to say. Sadness and confusion. He mentioned that Tenko is still wavering, and Tenko's going to let go of my hand, but of course Izuku is not letting go. We have more flags that say like, oh, no way, kill him, blah, 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 I should do it, yeah, but he still wants to save that child, etc., etc. And then like right before his hands are about to start, like the decay fully takes over his hands. This is fully when Izuku's Kid Seiyu takes over, man. Like, shout out to her, man. She sounded amazing here in this part, man. I don't know what she did to make her voice like that. Those people would say, she sounded like Loki, like she was being strangled or something. Not gonna lie, but whatever she was doing, man, she sounded great. Anyway, so he continued saying, when others took me by the hand, it gave me peace. That's why I am here, and this is when Izuku's arms finally completely shatter. And he says, that's why it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And Shigaraki says that this guy's feelings are flowing into me. My hatred's falling apart just from this. They're both crying, and then they both fall to their knees, and like they're both there, like they have a meeting of the minds where they both kind of headbutt each other, kind of where like their heads match. We get some. This is when we start getting some more flashbacks of Tenko with his two friends that he had. That Shigaraki made sure to mention to Mirio back in season 7, and then we get to like an interesting part of the episode that I think gives Shigaraki a little bit more depth than we initially thought, and like kind of like goes back to him wanting to be a hero and everything. Where he says, "I do evil stuff. I destroy. Even if you try to shatter my hatred and leave me empty, I have to be their hero." As we see the league right in front of him, which I just think is interesting, and I think it gives Shigaraki a bit like some last minute extra that Horikoshi gave him right before he dies, I guess, or whatever, before All for One takes over completely again. Where, like I said, this kind of like goes more into him wanting to be here since he was a kid, and that even through all his hatred and everything, man, and wanting to destroy, that little bit of it still was, that little bit of that kid was still there because he wanted to be the league's hero. I'm assuming by that he means bringing them all together and making them feel, just like, I guess, having just bonding together against. I'm struggling with the right word, coming together and being there for them and making them feel like they're not alone, I guess, which I think is interesting. Which I thought that was probably one of the more interesting parts of the episode, man, was that little bit with Shigaraki saying he wanted to be their hero. And then this is when we get to the two emo edgelords be like, yes, Shigaraki, destroy this world. Yeah, okay, edgelord, sure thing. Maybe you put some more extra feeling into your prayers, maybe you would have actually won. But no. You just, yes, destroy the world. As you're all sitting hunched over in the random street or in this dark ass room where your computer's the only life source, man. Shigaraki fans, they slipping, man, they slipping. But anyway, the fingers start to crumble around. Then we head back over to the base, and Sugihisa, I think is his name, or whatever the detective is, saying what's going on. And then we start seeing some of Shigaraki's dad's memories with All for One. And this is probably the biggest bombshell in the entire thing, that quite literally everything was according to All for One's plan. He quite literally orchestrate everything from Shigaraki's birth till now. Quite literally so. Like, people make jokes, if you guys watch Bleach, about how about Aizen, about all being according to everything being all part of Aizen's plan and everything, man. People make jokes that this was all part of his plan. But All for One is quite literally that. Like, you thought Aizen was out here with contingencies and plans that spanned ridiculous amount of time, bro. That is light work for All for One, man. He puts Aizen to shame, bro. Like, this is actually insane how far-reaching All for One truly is when this is revealed. And so it looks like, and we see that All for One is now taking a disguise, which I'm assuming was either maybe as like a shape-shifting quirk he just stole, or maybe Garaki did some shit to give him a new face, or maybe he like did Mission Impossible shit, just put a mask over him, put like a latex mask over him in Mission Impossible style or something. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, they meet up, and it seems like that he was undercover as like a construction guy, and then they soon became friends from there. He mentions about how his back is hurting. He says like, "Oh, I can recommend you a good doctor for that," and which I'm assuming he means Garaki, or maybe it was just talking out of his ass just for for conversation, to keep up conversation. Whatever the case may be, he says like, "Oh, it's not that bad enough that you need to go through the trouble." And so then we see them again. They're out chilling in this bar. It looks like it's wintertime because he has like this cardigan on, this like sweater on, and he's asking him how son is. Like, "Oh, he's a handful." And both Shigaraki and Izuku are wondering like, what the fuck is going on? These are my memories, what's happening? And then out of nowhere, All for One comes out of the freaking ground, like, and just eats them whole as the world around them starts to crack and open. And they put like this filter on top of All for One, man. It sounded fantastic as he starts like becoming like this giant mech sort of thing going on, man. And All for One's like, "How dare you do this to my one for all, or to my Yoichi?" And yet Tenko's psychological defeat here in the unconscious realm allowed me to regain my own consciousness. Foolish Tenko Shimura, with your pure super ego. A weakling who could not bear to part with his half-witted life. And after I went through the trouble of guiding you." Shigaraki's like, "I don't know what you're saying, dude. I don't know what you're saying, master." He is just as confused as the rest of us, man. And he tells him, "I told you, you never made a single choice of your own." Shigaraki, of course, denies that these are my choices. "Had I not made you think so, you would have no willpower. It was vile to redirect your free will." And this is when he learns that the reason why he couldn't take one fall previously from both Banjo as well as En was because he didn't have a stronger willpower compared to the user. That's why he could never take it. So he needs someone with even stronger willpower than All Might, because this is when he mentions this one is like when All Might have him on the run to finally take him down. And that is when he finally came up with his plan to create find his successor to take down All for One, obviously being Shigaraki. And then we see that this man, first of all, we find out that his sister is actually the oldest, which kind of shocked me because for some reason I thought Tenko was the oldest and his sister was younger. I'm not sure if anyone else got that vibe when they were watching the episode or read the manga for this here, but I always thought that she was the younger one and Tenko was older, but apparently it was actually reversed. But anyway, we're at this bar, and All for One is talking with Shigaraki's dad again. Where he says, "A hero won't show up when you really need saving these days. Kids need siblings so that they can watch each other's back." Yes, ladies and gentlemen, All for One quite literally is the reason Shigaraki was even born. I thought, him finding Dabi's corpse was pretty insane, and of course everything with him getting Tenko Shimura's grandson, or getting Nana's grandson, for this whole plan was insane. But quite literally being the reason he was born is just some next level shit. That is some next level planning there, bro. To be quite literally born, to be quite the reason someone was born, bro. Like this is it's like he mentions how his daughter was already too old enough. He couldn't do anything that stood out because he obviously didn't want to get caught and everything, man. And all he did was give him a push. And somehow, some way, that was like, yes, we should have another child. And you know, of course, had Tenko. And then we find out what actually happened was that actually Decay wasn't Todoroki, or not Todoroki, wasn't actually Shigaraki's initial quirk. He actually stole his undetected quirk factor and replaced it with an inferior version of another quirk he stole from a kid that Dr. Grok had stolen from, that took it from a blood sample of another kid that was at an orphanage. Now, we don't know who this kid is, but it looks like Overhaul, and we know Overhaul was an orphan, and he said that he stripped out its reversibility and gave him an inferior copy that could only destroy, which makes you think, which makes you think about that, man, that seemingly Shigaraki's Decay quirk was built and was an inferior version of Overhaul's quirk, which obviously could, like, you know, destroy shit and bring and revert and, you know, overhaul shit and so then rebuild and whatnot, man. So it's, and I think that Loki almost kind of like recontextualizes the entire overhaul arc in a way with this new information, given that they're both using the same different versions of the same quirk. So that's obviously insane as well. And yeah, now I'm not sure if this is a spoiler or not, so minor spoilers, but I have seen some tweets. Like I said, I don't know if this gets revealed in the next episode or whatnot, man, or this is all just pure speculation. So like I said, minor spoiler possibly. But I've seen some people theorize that Shigaraki's original quirk was Float, the quirk that we saw both, Flow, but also kind of like in the way that we saw from both All For One and Shigaraki were using in this season, or Young All For One, I should say, was using in this, and Shigaraki as well. Like I said, I don't know if there's any truth behind it, but that seems to be some speculation, which makes us, given Nano's quirk was flying, so it would make sense that it would maybe evolve into that, where you can do like where it can evolve and have like the rings around to like boost your speed and whatnot, man. So who knows? But anyway, that's insane if that's actually in fact his Overhaul, and he did in fact use his quirk and, you know, modified it to give Shigaraki a knockoff of it that could only destroy. But anyway, so like I said, he sold his quirk factor. He said he made sure his groove more heavy-handed. Not entirely sure what he means, if he meant literally as in abusing him and slapping him, or maybe just be a little bit more stricter, a little harder on him than probably would have been. I'm assuming what he means by heavy-handed. And then also seemingly told these kids to run into traffic just so he could save them. How do you even convince kids to run into traffic? All For One gotta have something like telepathy or telekinesis type quirk, because this is getting ridiculous, man. Like, do you have kids, you know, just running out in the street unless he told them to, like, go by this road or something? I don't know. That's actually kind of insane. So they would become friends. And then Ramblin'. This part Loki kind of feels a bit unrealistic, but to be fair, Japan is a very safe country, so maybe this is a bit more normal and people are maybe a bit more trusting in Japan compared to this happening like literally anywhere else, like the States or whatnot, man. Where, as far as we know, Tenko has never actually met this guy in any time when he was actually sentient and conscious and had like memory and whatnot, man. Maybe when he was a baby, but maybe not so much when he was an actual child and could actually, you know, recall shit and whatnot, man. I don't know. But assuming this is the first time he's actually remembered ever meeting this guy, because like I said, he never doesn't remember anything from when he was a baby. This is where things like, oh yeah, man, I'm acquaintance of your father. It's dangerous here. Would you mind holding my hand? And Tenko's like, sure, and does it. I'm like, bro. like this felt a little unreal, but at the same time, I know Japan is definitely a far more safer country typically compared to a lot of places in the world, and so maybe people are just a bit more trusting there compared to anyone else. But like, nobody teach Tenko stranger danger something, man. Like this had me raising eyebrows at how this is even possible. But like I said, Japan's a much safer country compared to most of the banks, and maybe they're just more trusting there in comparison to like the West or whatnot, man. But either way, but yeah, he grabs his hand. That's when he switched him and gave him Decay. Which could also be the reason why he scratches so damn much. Like we know with Aoyama, the quirk, his quirk wasn't really a good fit for him, so he needed the belt. And perhaps because Decay is probably why Shigoro was always so agitated, always scratching himself, was because of that. Because the quirk it just didn't mix well. Because his quirk didn't go well with him, so that's probably like why he was always scratching so much. Possibly, I don't know, but that's my theory. And then we get to like the bigger reveal, the big mic drop from All For One. He says, yes, the tragedies, the trials, the rejection, the acceptance. I gave you this, all of it. And then he says, now, get the hell out of my body. Literally, All For One Seiyu, man. Round of applause for me. I cannot wait to hear John Swayze news, man. This is going to be so fucking awesome. He says, get the hell out of my body. as the final punch to fully as like the final punch, the final thing to punctuate this, man. It was fun. Then we get like this rotating 3D shot of like All For One's like mech form, which we don't get a good look at. I mean, hopefully the next episode we get like a better look of it, man, because this was really cool and I would have liked to see more of it. But yeah, this was really cool, man. I wish we got a better look at this. And then he says, I'll kill Tomura's mind and eradicate it completely. I was only going to play this card after I'd taken one fall, but now we see Izuku falling into the dark abyss, screaming All For One, as this big explosion by Mount Fuji. And this is then we also get this really nice shot of Shigaraki when like his new hand appears on top of his face. Man, it looked really good. I thought the animation was really good. And of course, this is also when we finally get to see Izuku's without finally losing his head, which is basically completely non-censored. Like I thought, and I'm sure a lot of people thought that this was going to get censored because of how much blood there is and dismember, but no, it's pretty much uncensored. There was a little bit of extra blood on Izuku's mouth that was cut out of that's not present in the anime version, but that's about it. Everything else is there and accounted for. You got the blood, his arms, man. Insert your TG nugget jokes right here, man. So as I was saying, Izuku has lost his arms. He's trying to get up, but can't because he's missing his arms. It's kind of hard to get up when you're on the ground and you ain't got no arms. It's kind of hard to grip onto anything. But the animation here looks pretty good there. So you see Izuku struggling to get up, but he can obviously because he ain't got no arms. But anyway, Shigaraki, or Sugar All For One, I guess we're back to calling him now, starts walking towards Izuku. Looks like he's about to blast him. But then, like Ray Allen in Game 6 of the 2013 finals, Sero comes in there with the clutch saves and grabs Sugar All For One. This is when both Ojiro and Sato show up as well to go in to throw him off of Izuku. So yeah. Also, guys, one thing I forgot to mention as well. There wasn't a lot. I was going to mention because there wasn't a lot of cuts this episode, but we do have two cuts from this episode. I do have one is the one from All by when he says "Get the hell out of my body." That one was done by Atsushi Mori is the animator credit on this one. This cut was, but we also have Koei Hero Touch, which we'll talk about there when we get there. So we refreshed the page. I'm just refreshing you, us. Yeah, still no artist credit on the other two, man, besides Koei's cut, so just wanted to mention that because I forgot to mention that. But anyway, this is when Aizawa shows up saying, sorry, Midori, sorry this took so long. Like I said, coming out of Kurogiri's portals, very much ripped right out of Avengers Endgame. Seriously, he should have said on your left, man, that's all I'm going to say, he should have said on your left. That would have been awesome, he said on your left. But anyway, we cut back to, I think it was 10 minutes ago or whatever, we're back with Prism and Aizawa on this random cliff with Kurogiri. Prison Mike is seemingly completely given up on Shirokuma being Kurogiri, and is just wailing on the zoo while he's ranting and raving at him, saying we shouldn't have relied on this carcass. Although you do see he's crying, so I think it still hurts him. He's still sad by this, and it still hurts him to be punching his friend or whatnot. But he's just just fraught with emotions or whatever. And Aizawa says, I see tears. He's like, I'm not crying, men don't cry. And I'm like, bro, you gotta get rid of that toxic masculinity, bro. I'm just saying, bro, you need to get rid of that toxic masculinity. It's bad for your health. But yeah, Aizawa, Prince Mike's denying it, man. But then he mentions no, I'm talking about him. And then we look at Shirokuma, and he's like, you can definitely see he's crying. And then Prince Mike's like, nah, bro, it's the rain. As well as he says, it got no tears. He doesn't even refer to him as a him. He does not see Shirokuma anymore. He just sees Kurogiri and calls him it. It's like Sarah Connor in T2 was referring to the T-800. It. But we need it. Anyone else take a T2 from their man, or was that just me? Anyway, he calls him a Nomu. He says it took us out of play because you foiled Shigaraki twice. Our priority right now is to activate this, get this back into the action. And then after that, we'll break it so it never runs again. Present mind, bro. Bro is just losing at this point, man. Like, goddamn, he is going through it. He doesn't forget about the miracle on Tartarus. He says we can't go on being class 2A students anymore. We're 31, which is shocked. Which does anyone else shocked to know that Aizawa was only 31? I'm gonna be honest. I thought the dude was in his 40s. He looks way older than 31. Present Mike, I can buy being 31, but Aizawa, bro, I straight up thought the dude was in his 40s. Or like late 30s minimum, bro. I did not know he was just in his 30s, bro. That's actually kind of insane. He's only 31. That is crazy. So then Aizawa was asking, like, why didn't he tear us to pieces or drop us to our deaths? And he says that day Tartarus had we popped the cork of the cork on his light. When it bended in, he broke it. No matter how much light you pour in, there's still some darkness. But darkness is the opposite way, which is why he started working again. I get it, Yamada. We're hero course teachers. We get UA students across the graduation finish line, no matter how many years go by. If that's where our origins lie, this is when Kurogiri wakes up again, starts working again, and that's when we can clearly see Shirakumo once again. He starts speaking. He says those memories aren't disappearing. So yeah, his friend's still there in Sunkus. I am kind of curious to know if, like, by the end of this, man, he's like fixing. They got all Kurogiri out of him. He's back to Shirakumo. Probably not. But we'll wait and see if anything comes of this in the last few episodes. So then I was asking if anyone's available, if Monoma's still available. He mentions how he took a hard blow to the head. He's armed to a hospital, and he says he wants the coordinates for all the remaining heroes that are still active. This is when we cut back over to Shiketsu with Aizawa there, and of course Ectoplasm is shocked by how he's even there. He says they can use the Kurogiri again, and they need all the heroes they need to battle for battle. And so then the big guy, I forget his name, comes in there saying he wants in on this action. We also see this dude that straight up looks like a kid saying, I'm not fans, but I'm still a hero, pulls out his like weapon. Look, did anyone else think this dude's just a kid? Like, this bro looks like he's ripped right out of like Yama or fucking, Shaman King or something. Like, bro, whose man's is this? Are we sure this is not a child? Because he quite literally looks like one. I don't know if bro's just short or what, but he looks like a kid, bro. Like, he looks like he's ripped right out of fucking Shaman King or something. And then the dude with the All Might shirt comes in there and literally just gives him his shirt, like, hey, give an injured hero this. Which kind of surprised, because I always wonder where Izuku got this shirt. Like, did he get it from this guy, or did, like, he get it somewhere else? Was it just lying around? But no, the dude literally handed him his shirt, and the dude's now just chilling, shirtless. I knew if someone gave him something else to wear. So anyway, we then come back over to where Sato and Ojiro were at, where they were at like the stadium with this villain that they were fighting off against. A few of the other heroes from Class B show up there to give them some backup. That's where we're back to present day, where it goes full end game with the portals, where it says divide and conquer phase 3. And then Aizawa runs over to Izuku, asking how long he lost his arm. Izuku doesn't know how much time has passed. It was inside his head. We then get another flashback where where we get with Eri, where Eri literally hands her her horn that she broke off. How? I don't know. They don't say how she did. I don't know if he just ripped it off. He grabbed a cleaver and just chopped that bitch off. We do not know how exactly Ectoplasm got her horn broke off, man. I would have liked to have known that or saw that in some capacity. But oh well. But anyway, she offers it to him, tells him to give it to Izuku, and then Aizawa once again goes into dad mode when he finds out that she asked for help. He's like, Ectoplasm! He's like, sorry. And he says, but she learned much from you about rational and irrational acts. And she says, I know because I learned from your teachers and from how my power works. I'm sure it'll still work even just this piece. After all, it's a part of me. And Aizawa says, but if you take this rough report, you might damage your quirk itself. He said, and then she tells that she wanted to do with ease for All Might in Bakugo, but couldn't. And then this is when we find out that she wants to sing, and she wants Aizawa and Izuku and the others. And then she says that Aizawa and Izuku and the others made things fun for her. So I'm going to sing for them once today is over. So even if it isn't much, let me fight too, man. Like, even though season 3, but like, I legit started tearing up a little bit here, man. This was such a heartwarming moment. So anyway, he places her horn on Izuku's arm, and they rewind back on there, man. Unfortunately, Octopus says she can only go back 2-3 minutes. So yeah, Izuku, so his scars are all still there, man. He cannot get rid of those, unfortunately. And then Aizawa tells him, like, you can't die until you hear Ares sing. I love that Aizawa, that's fun. So then the rest of the class ain't coming there. For some reason, Kaminari has gone full retard again, even though last time we saw him, he was limping, he was like leaning against Momo, limping around, wondering, crying, bawling his eyes, wondering if he's lost hope in Izuku. When the fuck did this happen? And we also see, goddamn, Mina is fucking pale. She fucking white as a ghost right now, man. That could just be the lighting and everything in the art direction for this episode, but like, bro, she looked low-key looking like a ghost. She damn near as pale as a ghost right now, bro. Goddamn. And then we get to end the episode off, man. We got Mineta saying even if we can't move another muscle, if we hear Izuku still kicking butt, somehow we just keep on going. Great animation here as we end the episode off, which this is obviously all Koei Hirota's cut. So yeah, which I believe all this. Let me check the Sakura if it went all the way up to like the finale. Yeah, went up to, it goes up to the episode. Yeah, this is all Koei's cut with Yoshihiko Umakoshi, who you guys know is the character design for Hero Wanka as 80, which you can definitely tell me because these drawings are extra crispy. Anyway, guys, that is where the episode ends, ladies and gentlemen. I've already mentioned next week's episode and how excited I am for it. Hopeful that this is that Haruka Iida is directing it, man. Nakamura will be here. It's like giving you guys my theories, my speculation on the next episode. We'll know next week if I'm at all right on this. If we do in fact if it is in fact directed by Haruka, if we do got Nakamura in this episode, man, we will see, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, but from next episode, Bremen, this looks absolutely incredible, man. I'm so excited for this, man. Like, there's some extra crispy drawings in here too, man. Like the ending of the little key, like the last little bit, made me wonder if those are some Nakamura drawings that I'm looking at, man. I don't know. that might just be coping, man. I don't know, but like wishful thinking, I should say, man. But we'll see, man. We'll see if those are some Nakamura drawings. Anyway, guys, that's going to video off. Overall, you said such to the shock, nobody. A 10 out of fucking 10, ladies. As always, hope you guys would feel like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me so you feel like it. Links are below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.